The weight of a vanishing name. February 2003 arrived in Belgrade not with a roar, but with the quiet scratching of pens. Stanimir stood in the depths of the Federal Palace archives, surrounded by the scent of dust and drying ink. For decades, he had filed the soul of a nation into steel cabinets. Now the Federal Republic of Yugoslavia was being dissolved, and he was the one tasked with cataloging its final hours. To him, the folders weren't just paper. They were the heavy remnants of a collective dream. The heavy oak doors creaked open, admitting a gust of cold winter air and Darija. She was a young diplomat, assigned to oversee the transition to the new state union of Serbia and Montenegro. She moved with a sharp, modern efficiency that made Stanimir feel like a relic of a previous century. To Darija, this was a reorganization of assets and titles. To her, the future required a lighter load and fewer ghosts. Stanimir met her at the entrance of the records room, holding out a heavy, leather-bound ledger. He didn't offer a smile, only the solemnity of a gatekeeper. Darija took the ledger, her fingers brushing against the worn hide. In that moment, the tension between the old world and the new hung in the air like dust motes. They were two people bound by a name that would cease to exist by nightfall. They spent the afternoon at a massive mahogany desk, sorting through the symbols of a vanishing state. Darija examined a collection of rubber stamps, each bearing the crest of the Federal Republic. Stanimir watched as she set them aside one by one, destined for the museum or the furnace. Every thump of a stamp on the desk felt like a heartbeat slowing down. Stanimir excused himself and walked to the tall window. Outside, the Belgrade skyline was a mosaic of gray concrete and winter mist. He pulled a faded photograph from his pocket, showing a younger version of himself at a parade. He realized that while the maps were changing, his memories remained anchored to a geography that no longer had a legal definition. The weight of the past felt heavier than the files he had spent all day moving. While Stanimir was lost in thought, Darija knelt on the floor, spreading out a vast topographical map of the region. She ran her pen along the border between Serbia and Montenegro, tracing the line where a single federation was becoming a loose union. She wasn't looking for history. She was looking for the most efficient way to redraw the world. Her eyes were bright with the challenge of the new, unburdened by the sentimentality of the old. A heavy thud interrupted their work as Vukan, a broad-shouldered technician, entered the room. He carried a stack of empty wooden crates, his face etched with the weariness of a man who had seen too many changes to care about the name on the building. Stanimir pointed toward the corner of the room where the Farai archives were to be packed away. Vukan nodded silently, his movements methodical and strong. Darija beckoned Vukan over to help her with a heavy metal seal that was bolted to a pedestal. As Vukan used a wrench to loosen the bolts, Darija held the seal steady so it wouldn't fall and crack the floor. It was a physical dismantling of the state, piece by piece, screw by screw. The sound of metal grinding against metal echoed through the hollow halls of the palace. As the sun began to set, Stanimir and Darija stepped out onto the balcony overlooking the city square. Between them, they held a folded flag, the blue, white, and red tricolor that had flown over the Republic. The wind tugged at the fabric, trying to pull it away. For a brief second, their hands met over the cloth, a silent acknowledgement of the transition they had shared. The old guard and the new diplomat were united by a single piece of silk. By morning, the brass plaque on the front of the building would be changed. Stanimir and Darija walked out of the palace together, leaving the quiet archives behind. The Federal Republic of Yugoslavia was now a chapter in a book, a file in a drawer. As they reached the street, they turned in different directions, two individuals moving into a new era, leaving the ghost of a country in the shadows of the palace.